Namamida boots. Namamida boots. Namamida boots. Namanda boots. Namanda boots. Namanda boots. goshō. Namamida boots. Namamida boots. Namamida boots. Namanda boots. Namanda boots. Namanda boots. Namanda boots. Namanda boots. Hello and welcome once again to the Tri-State Denver Buddhist Temple's YouTube service. This is the service for February 13th, 2022. We're so glad that you're here to share in the Buddha Dharma with us here at the Tri-State Denver Buddhist Temple. Service order will be Sanbutsuge. You can find Sanbutsuge on page 53 in the blue Denver Service Book. Following Sanbutsuge, we're going to have a reading of the Ryogemon in Japanese. And you can find the Ryogemon in Japanese in the description below. And then we'll have the Creed, the translation of the Ryogemon, which is on page 103 in the blue Denver Service Book. We're then going to have a Dharma talk hitting on the Olympics and merit. So stick around and learn how the Olympics and Buddhism go hand in hand. Thank you once again for joining us here at the Tri-State Denver Buddhist Temple. And if you don't have a copy of the blue Denver Service Book, that would be this one right here. Well, don't you worry, because if you look in the description below, you'll find a hyperlink to a Google Drive where you can download your own PDF copy of the Blue Denver Service Book. Feel free to download it, print it off, and share it with a friend. Because if you have the Blue Denver Service Book, you can chant along with things like Sanbutsuge. Do your best to stay safe out there and stay warm. Remember, you are always in Amida's light. 공행 깅이 이진 문옥은 요새행며 무요 도샤 니징한 많이 슈고엔요 가이신 논패 윤약 주목 nyorai 용엔 조세무린 shōngakdayon korujibo kaimon shōjin sammai chie itoku-muyo shūshō keiyu jintai zennen shōmun hokai gujin jinno kungo gaitai mumyo yokunu seison yomu ninno shishi jintoku muyo kukun konai chie jinmyo komyo iso shinno naisen ganga samut zaisho ho kado shonji mifugen nat fusei joy kainin shonjin nyoze sammai chie hijo gosei tokumu fugyo shingan isai kuku isai dayan keshi unmu hyakusen nokuman 無用大小修行五者供養一切使徒書物不尿愚道検証不客非尿五者書物世界不不可計無種鮮度光明師匠変身諸国如是精進一人難容容が三無国土第一五種奇妙道場超絶国女内安二無闘争ガト愛民道南一切地方来生新年少女一等が国慶楽和音公務神妙是が神書本願の日力所所欲自法生存知恵無碍浄土子孫知が信用経度心志食読中願行精進忍辱不敬南無南無南無南無南無南無南願にしく道苦平等性一切道本本内心往生安楽国南無阿弥陀仏南無阿弥陀仏南無阿弥陀仏南無阿弥陀仏南無阿弥陀仏南無阿弥陀仏南無阿弥陀仏南無阿弥陀仏。Please join me in goshō for a reading of the Ryogemon in Japanese, followed by its English translation, The Creed. Ryogemon. Moromoro no zōgyō zasshu, jiriki no kokoro o furi suttee, isshin ni amida nyorai, warera ga kondo no ichidaiji no goshō,
ontasuke sōrae to tanomi shite sōrō. Tanomu ichinen no toki, ojo ichijo ontasuke jijo to zonji. Kono ue no shomyo wa gon hosha to zonji. Yorokobi moshi sōrō. Kono onkoto wari chōmon moshi wake sōrō koto. Gokai-san shonen goshūsei no goon. Shidai sōjō no zenjishiki no asakaru zaru gonkanke no goon to arigataku zonji sōrō. Kono ue wa sarame okase raruru on okite ichigo wo kagiri mamori mosu beku sōrō. The Creed. We rely upon Tathagata Amitabha with our whole heart for the enlightenment in the life to come, abstaining from all sundry practices and teachings, and giving up the trust in our powerless selves. We believe that assurance of our rebirth through his compassion comes at the very moment we rely upon him, and we call the name Namo Amida Butsu in happiness and with deepest gratitude. We also acknowledge gratefully the benign benevolence of our founder and succeeding masters, who have led us to believe in this profound teaching, and we do now endeavor to follow throughout our lives the way laid down for us. In goshō. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu.
Hello and welcome to the Tri-State Denver Buddhist Temple. This is the Dharma talk for February 13th, 2022. Quick reminder for all you out there, tomorrow, if you're watching this on Sunday, is Valentine's Day. So if you forgot, now you can remember and keep yourself from getting in any trouble. It is everyone's favorite Hallmark holiday after all. And you know, who can have a Valentine's Day without those really horrible chalky heart candies? Maybe me. I think I might forego those this year. But for this Dharma talk, I have an exciting quote. This is going to be coming from the Senchaku Hongan Nembutsu Shu. Senchaku Hongan Nembutsu Shu. This is a BDK English translation. The Senchaku Hongan Nembutsu Shu was written by Honen Shonin, Shinran's great teacher, and is, when we talk about the history of Shinran, it is actually the work that Shinran got to copy, and it meant like the world to him. So we're going to read a small piece of the Senchaku Hongan Nembutsu Shu. So please join me in goshō. This will be coming from the third chapter, the chapter on the original vow. It is, therefore, clear that since the Nembutsu is easy, it is open to everyone, while the various other practices are not open to all types of people, because they are difficult. Was it not in order to bring all sentient beings without exception to rebirth that Dharmakara in his original vow cast aside the difficult practices and chose the easy one? Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu. The Senchaku Hongan Nembutsu Shu is interesting in a lot of ways because it is like reading Shinran, but also not. The way Honen writes, and I think the way BDK translates it, in a lot of ways is a lot more straightforward. And at the same time, I think Honen wrote for people to read, whereas Shinran wrote for people to examine, which is a very minute differentiation, but I think it changes how we read Honen versus how we read Shinran. And this is obviously written for people to read. It is therefore clear that since the Nembutsu is easy, it is open to everyone, while the various other practices are not open to all types of people because they are difficult. Was it not in order to bring all sentient beings without exception to rebirth that Dharmakara, Amida Buddha, when he was a bodhisattva, in his original vow, cast aside the difficult practices and chose the easy one? The easy one being Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu. And one of the reasons I read this today is, as I'm recording this, it's the Olympics. It's the 2022 Winter Olympics happening in China, and I'm not going to address the issues with it happening in China. You should go out and learn and read about that on your own. That's a you exploration thing. And you can come up with your own opinions on how our country or anything else should address those subjects. But the Olympics are an amazing thing. For over 100 years, humans have come together and competed against each other, no matter what country you come from, no matter what ethnic background or economic background, maybe a little bit what economic background, but come together and said, I'm going to do this sport in the same way that you do it, and we're going to see who can win in this sport. And there's all kinds of interesting, especially in the Winter Olympics, interesting sports. So curling, it's like dad bods on ice. We've got luge, which is insane. Skeleton, which is like luge, but like they hit their head really hard and they're going down head first down this chute of ice. It's insane. There's skiing and there's snowboarding. Saw Shaun White last night do a crazy last run on the half pipe. We see all these different countries come together and play these sports. I saw the American hockey team this morning beat the Chinese team 9-0. So a lot of really interesting things happening during the Olympics. And the Olympics involve so much of the world. But I had to think about the Olympics for a minute. So I like to ski. In fact, I pride myself on the fact I've been down 1 or 2 black diamonds in my life. I think it's quite fun. But you know what I'm not? I'm not an Olympic skier. So everyone can ski in one way or another. There's adaptive skiing. If you haven't seen adaptive skiing before, I'll go ahead and throw it up there. You know, so there's like this cart you can go in. There's blind skiing. There's skiing for deaf people. There's skiing for old people and young people. Everyone can ski. However, not everyone can ski race. And especially not everyone can race at the Olympic level. And there's a sport that's even more difficult. So there's, I don't know if you've all been cross-country skiing before. I find cross-country skiing to be very difficult. I don't have the quads for it. I get very tired. I can't cross-country ski very well. And I do enjoy shooting, especially target shooting. But I'm okay at it, but not very great. But there's a sport called biathlon. And if you haven't seen biathlon before, I definitely throw a Google up on it. Because basically, it's a sport where you cross-country ski for 20 kilometers with a .22 rifle strapped to your back. And while your heart rate is jacked through the roof, you get to stop and then shoot at 5 tiny little targets with your .22 rifle, which is strapped on your back. And every time that you miss a target, you have to do a penalty lap of like 200 meters or something. And these athletes are crazy. They are in such amazing shape because they're able to not only go and cross-country ski 20 miles at full, insanely fast speeds, like these are so fast, but then they can stop and pull off this rifle and shoot at a target, boom, 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 and hit all 5 targets in a row 4 different times without missing a single one. That is so impressive. And skiers biathletes from all across the world are doing this. There's Japanese, there's Chinese, there's Russian, there's Norwegian, there's Finnish, there's Spanish, there's Mexican, there's South Korean, all these different countries, New Zealand, Australia, Germany, Sweden, I'm sure there's more. There's Ukrainians and Kazakhstan and Mongolia and all these different countries that participate in biathlon. And so all these countries, the people that are competing in the Olympics for biathlon are the best people in their country at this sport. So it is the cream that has risen to the top of everyone else that does cross-country skiing and shooting. Together, it's the best biathletes. And so I want to tell you a story about a biathlete that was born here in Colorado. And his name is Leif Nordgren. And Leif Nordgren competed a couple days ago in the 20-kilometer biathlon. And he's an amazing athlete, 32 years old. This is his 3rd Olympics. And he has been so dedicated that he has barely been home in the last 6 months, doing nothing but training and training and training and training. To the point that he was not home when his wife gave birth to their first child this week. So 2 days before he went and was in the biathlon in China, his wife gave birth to a child, and he hasn't seen it. This is an insane amount of dedication. What an amazing athlete. And these Olympic athletes, they do such epic amounts of training. And so there's a 2012 study done before the London Olympics that said the average Olympic athlete will spend up to 10,000 hours training. That's insane. So a full-time job, you work on average 2,000 hours a year in a full-time job. So it's 8 hours a day. 10,000 hours is 5 years of a full-time job, but not just sitting behind a desk and doing work, but rather running and weightlifting and sprints and squats and skiing and all these other things, actively just toning your body. So Leif has been able to compete in 3 separate Olympics. He's been the best at this sport 3 separate times. So he must be an amazing athlete, right? So Leif goes out and skis, and he does his best, and he finishes 87th out of 92. 87th out of 92. He is one of the best people in our country at this sport, and he finished 87th out of 92. So no matter how much dedication he put into this, no matter how much work he put into this, still didn't get that gold medal, didn't get that silver medal, didn't get that bronze medal, didn't get a top 10, or even finish in the top 80% of competitors. Instead, he beat 5 other competitors. He finished 10 minutes behind the winner. And yet, Leif Nordgren, not Leif Erikson, that's a totally different person. Look him up if you don't know who Leif Erikson is either. But Leif Nordgren of Colorado Springs, 32 years old, is a better athlete than I can even comprehend. He is an amazing athlete. He's done amazing things. And we have an example of that even closer here to the temple. Paralympian and U.S. Judo champion Robert Tanaka, member of the Tri-State Denver Buddhist Temple. Robert is amazing, but also terrifying because I know he could pick me up and throw me across the room at any moment. Robert, you are epic. But we aren't good at all the individual practices. We aren't good at each individual thing. And so even as I look at this, and here's a secret that some of you may not know, I'm a former Team USA athlete. In 2014, I competed for Team USA Australian Rules Football in the International Cup of Australian Rules Football. So like the World Championship. And yeah, I'm only kind of good at that. Mediocrely good. Not a team captain, not that great, but I was able to compete in a world competition. And yet, I barely can do anything else in sports. Mr. Nordgren probably can't snowboard like a beast. I doubt he's very good at speed skating or figure skating. And so, why am I talking about the Olympics and athletes? Well, let's go back to what Honen had to say. It is therefore clear that since the Nembutsu is easy, it is open to everyone, while the other practices are not open to all types of people because they are difficult. So the other Buddhist practices, the insanely hard Buddhist practices, the merit-building Buddhist practices, just like the Olympics, it's not open to everyone. Every one of these practices is really hard, and you have to dedicate every moment you have to them. And so just like Leif Nordgren, you can dedicate your entire life to it, to the detriment of every single other thing you're doing. And yet, you can still finish 87th out of 92. You can still finish 87th out of 92. But, and this is the important part, but with Namo Amida Butsu, with the Nembutsu, we all get to go skiing. We all get to participate, and we all get embraced by the vow. This is the easy path. This is the path for all people. Is it possible to do the difficult path? Sure. People are Shaun White. People are Apollo Ono, the great short track speed skater of our generation. But not everybody. And so for you and me, who are good at different things, but not all things, not all the difficult practices, who aren't the Olympians, we have Namo Amida Butsu. And loving yourself and knowing like, hey, you know what? I'm good here. I'm good here. I don't have to spend every single moment forsaking what life is in order to be embraced in this life. I can live and say, Namo Amida Butsu, and know that I am truly good as I am, just as I am, sono mama de. And so, watch the Olympics, enjoy it, enjoy the athletes and the amount of effort they put in, but also then think about it as a Buddhist lesson. You can try your hardest and fail, and that's okay. Because if you try your hardest and say Namo Amida Butsu, you're still going to win. Everyone gets a gold medal with Namo Amida Butsu. Everyone gets birth in the Pure Land with Namo Amida Butsu. So take it deeply in your heart and know that you are the gold medal Nembutsu sayer. Because we are all the gold medal Nembutsu sayer. We are all embraced in the vow. And so congratulations to all those that have worked so hard to make the Olympics. Congratulations once again to our own Robert Tanaka. I can't believe you were in the Olympics in Japan. It was so cool. And congratulations to even Mr. Leif Nordgren, who will probably never see this, but congratulations on having a child and on competing in the Olympics. You are amazing. And congratulations to each and every one of you out there, because you are amazing. You have done something so amazing in your life, and you know what it is. Embrace it and hold it close, and then do the next amazing thing and say, Namo Amida Butsu. So please join me in goshō as we read from the Senchaku Hongan Nembutsu Shu, Honen's pinnacle work. It is, therefore, clear that since the Nembutsu is easy, it is open to everyone. While the various other practices are not open to all types of people because they are difficult. Was it not in order to bring all sentient beings without exception to rebirth that Dharmakara in his original vow cast aside the difficult practices and chose the easy one? Goshō. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu.